All right, let's talk Texas Longhorns here for a little bit. Look, Texas is kind of falling under the radar, it seems like a little bit as we get closer and closer to the kickoff of the 2024 regular season. They're obviously one of the best teams in college football, made the semifinal last year, returning a lot of quality players, even though a number of them didn't go to the National Football League. But I think an underrated element to this Texas Longhorns team is how smart they are strategically. And a lot of that is due, of course, to Coach Sark and everything he does. And in fact, recently, Sark got an incredible praise from one of the greatest coaches of all time, none other than Nick Saban. Let's pull up this report, and then we can talk about it more on the other side. This is courtesy of 24/7 Sports. I kind of always hated playing against Sark, Saban said on SEC Network during the conference media days, and practiced for several years, as well as when we played them the past couple of years, because they do such a good job with what I call squeeze splits. We play in this day and age where people take these huge splits like Tennessee, which that's a problem too, but players are not used to, especially DBs, are not used to playing when you have squeeze splits because you put them in unfamiliar positions, whether it's run support or how they cover. When you're in squeeze splits, how can this guy get to that side of the field quickly, which messes up your pattern matches? I always hated playing against Texas, Saban said. And Kirby, here's an interesting part. Kirby Smart, head coach of Georgia, has got some of the same issues that we had. Now, for people who aren't familiar with squeeze splits and things like that, he's talking about wide receivers, their alignment closer or in some cases farther away in terms of Tennessee to the football to kind of condense the defense and confuse things for defensive backs. Coach Sarkisian is a master at it, and I think it gives the Texas Longhorns, with this decision and other strategic decisions, a big advantage over a lot of their competition. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, but first, Texas fans in the comment section below, obviously one heck of a season coming up for us. Give us the one game in the regular season you're more excited for than any other. There's a lot of great matchups on the schedule. Texas plays an awesome schedule this year, but you can only pick one game. Give us the one game you're looking forward to more than any other and put it in the comment section below. But Miles, what are your thoughts on this latest report involving Coach Sarkisian and Texas?
Yeah, Nick, I love these comments from Saban, especially because he's the guy that's probably the most intimately familiar with what Sarkisian brings to the table. And let's be honest, he's probably one of the guys that's the most intimate familiar with Georgia. He's the guy that's the most familiar with how to play good football in college football. He's done it for the highest level for a very long time, longer than anybody probably has. So when he speaks, I think we all should listen. And I think it's interesting because you look at Texas's schedule this year. This is a Longhorns team that is transitioning over to the SEC, as everyone has already heard 8 million times. But when you break down the schedule, I look at these games and there's only really two games that stand out to me. That's the, defending college football champions, game 2 of the season at Michigan. I think that's going to be a tough game, but we don't exactly know what Michigan is yet. We've seen speculation, we've heard rumors, new head coach Ron Moore. I would expect them to be pretty good, but are they quite as good as they were last season? Who knows? I don't think we're going to know until we see them hit the field. Then the next game on the schedule that really will, I think, put a wrench in Texas's plan to potentially go back to the college football playoff and try to make a deeper run this time would be Georgia. That's over on October 19th, about 7th game of the season. I think at home against Georgia, Saban brings up some really good, interesting points here, just saying that Texas has matched up really well. It seems like Kirby Smart and Georgia have the same kind of problems playing a team like Texas that Nick Saban's Alabama team had playing a team like Texas. I think it really gives them a great advantage. And I think this could just show Texas is going to be a big time contender this year. I think they have a favorable schedule. I think there's a lot of teams on there that they should beat. I think they got two really tough games, but it looks like in one of those two games, at least, one of them, we're not so sure about the opponent. And the other one, it seems like Texas has an advantage.
Yeah, and I think it's important to understand that when you listen to what Saban talk about when it comes to him and Kirby Smart, the Saban defense, the Kirby Smart defense, it's 100% predicated on stomping a modern college offense. That's their entire structure, their entire design, which is the simplistic spread that pretty much everybody runs, right? It's the zone read kind of action with a quarterback and running back, hit the flat, hit the bubble, maybe hit a quick slant or something over behind it. That 99.9 teams run. You've got the four wide receivers split out wide to spread out the defense, right? Everybody runs some form of it. And this is what Sarkisian's offensive strategy does to that defense. it completely obliterates it because the whole point of that defense is they basically use the fact that they're so spread out to understand where their leverage and help is at all times and understand what route combinations are coming their way. By spreading everybody out, it actually clears up the picture for the defense. What Sark does is because he condenses it so much, it makes it so muddy, so confused. You've got a receiver that's close to the line of scrimmage. There's a million things he can do, right? If he's lined out really far out wide, for example, there's really only so many moves he can go, right? Because he's so far away from the football. But if he's lined up really close inside with other receivers, there's a million ways his route tree could take him and a million different combinations that could go, including shifts and motions, right? If a receiver is lined up basically at the line at the sideline, the odds of him going in motion are pretty small. But if he's lined up basically right next to the tight end or tackle, there's a really good chance he could go in motion either out wide, back to the other side of the field, whatever it may be. There's just so many options for offenses that they can use for their strategies that completely blows up the Saban Kirby Smart defense. And that's why, by the way, Sarkisian and Texas went into Tuscaloosa last year and absolutely obliterated Alabama, is because Sarkisian, with a very talented squad, has finally figured out how to beat this world-beating defense that we saw for the Crimson Tide and now for the Georgia Bulldogs. And look, when you look at the strategy, when you look at the talent, there really isn't a reason Texas shouldn't make a serious run towards a national title this season. I think they're being slept on a little bit, which is kind of weird because it is Texas after all. But I think a lot of attention's been focused on other programs, whether it be Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, whatever, right? But when you focus on what really matters, the smarts, the strategy, the talent, Texas is at the top of the college football world right now, and they should be a serious contender to win it all in 2024.